Today we're having a look at Blackbird by the Beatles, Paul McCartney's song. And it's just Paul McCartney playing on the original. There's the vocal, acoustic guitar and his foot tapping. So all the way through you can hear quite a clear tap, and that's his foot on a wooden floor, I think. And yeah, it's reasonably simple. It's not the hardest song in the world to play, but it's one of those songs that you never see anyone playing exactly the way that McCartney does. And so I thought I'd have a look at it and just show you exactly the way I think he played it originally. And the main thing to really get to grips with is what the right hand's doing. And the pattern he's using, there's basically two patterns in this song. So the first pattern is the bass note played with the thumb. Now the bass note will either be the 6th, 5th or 4th string. So we're going to use the 5th for the example. And I'm just going to use open strings for the moment. So the 5th string played with the thumb, the 2nd string played with the 1st finger, like this. And then this is the weird part. You flick downwards with your 1st finger onto the 3rd string. So it's... And what happens when you're sort of doing this in the flow of the song, you're not going to be that accurate. So you're not going to just hit this string, and you probably catch the 2nd string a little bit. And that's good, that's how McCartney does it. So he's aiming for the 3rd string, but he catches the 2nd string a little bit. Like that. So before you play anything with this hand, you need to get the hang of that. So then the second pattern, which is slightly harder, we play the bass note again with the 2nd string open, just like before. Then we play downwards onto the 3rd string with the 1st finger. That's that flick. Up on the 2nd string. So we've gone. Then we play the bass note again. Then the upwards movement on the 2nd string. And then a downwards movement again, that flick downwards on the 3rd string. So I'll just play through that. And it only sounds right when you speed it up and sort of relax it a little bit so it's not too accurate. I'm playing it very accurately there. It needs to be more like this. And what happens is that movement with the 1st finger means you're aiming at certain strings but you're catching at least one other one each time, almost by mistake. So it's... But the two important things, one is for this finger to be doing this movement, and the other one is for your thumb to be playing bass notes on every beat. I think for the whole song, boom, 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 boom. The thumb's just doing that, playing bass notes. So if I just play the intro, have a look at this hand. Slowly. So that's the sort of the patterns, the two patterns that are in the song, and you have to get the hang of those before you really look at this hand too much. So now we'll have a quick look at what the intro sequence actually is with this hand. The first shape is just one finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string. And the bass note that we use with this hand, with the thumb, the bass note we play, the string is governed by what this hand's doing. So for this one, we're going to be on the 6th string and play the shorter pattern. Then the next shape is just 1st finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. Now the bass note's 5th string. The next shape is this, 2nd fret on the 5th string, 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Best to use those two fingers. And then we play the same pattern again that we just did, so 5th string bass. So those three together. And then we slide these fingers along. At the moment they're on 2 and 3. We need them to be on 10 and 12. And that sound yeah, don't worry about that when you hear that sound. That's good if you hear that. It means your fingers are staying pressed to the strings. Up to 10 and 12, so slightly wider spacing. And now we do the other pattern with the 5th string bass note. Twice. So if I just play that whole intro slowly, it's that's the intro to the song. I highly recommend practicing the intro before you do anything else and really get the hang of that before you look at the next part of the song. So then we've got the verse. Now the verse starts with a repeat of the intro, so that's nice and easy. And the next part, we slide this same shape, which is 10 and 12, same strings, 3 and 5. These shapes we're using here are called tenths. I will probably do a separate video explaining what tenths are all about, but that's what they are. So we do the shorter pattern, then a slightly awkward change here. You have to put a 2nd finger on the 5th string, 4th fret. This one comes away, 1st finger goes right down here to the 1st string, 3rd fret. And so now we play the 5th, the 1st, and then the 3rd string, just like we did before. So that was. And then what we've just done there repeats 2 frets higher. So these two move to here. Do the same thing. So it's. And then the next one is 7 on the 5th string, 8 on the 2nd string. As I said earlier, we really need to use these 2 fingers, not this one, not that, but that, just like we did down there. And now we do the longer pattern. And then move the 1st finger back to the 6th fret, keep this one where it is, same pattern, the longer one. And then we move this same shape back 1 fret, so instead of 6 and 8 it becomes 5 and 7. Do the shorter pattern, and then we go to one of those odd shapes that we did earlier. 4th fret here on the 5th string, 3rd fret on the 1st string. So now the 1st finger's got to move across to there. So that was one of the hardest parts of the song, that. And then we play 3 and 5, 3 on the 5th string, 5 on the 2nd, the longer pattern. Then change to 3 and 4, so that moves back, longer pattern. Move both fingers back 1 fret to 2 and 3, longer pattern. And then just change to this, which is 2nd fret on the 2nd string. Same strings here, so the 5th string's now open, longer pattern again. And we go to 1st fret on the 2nd string, but this time the thumb moves across to the 4th string and we do the longer pattern. So just trying to remember that, that's the only time we use the 4th string. And then we go to the first sort of shape that we started the whole thing with, which is just that, and do the longer pattern now with the 6th string bass note. So that's the end of the verse. So I'll just play the whole verse for you. You'll notice there I'm not being too accurate with this hand. I'm not being very precise with which string I hit. I'm just roughly going for that string and then that string with the 1st finger. Just because it gives you more the sound of the song if you're not being too precise. So that's the verse. There's several sections to this song, so I'm just going to take each one individually, but as I said with the intro, it's worth practicing the intro before you do anything else. Then practice the intro plus the verse before you move on to the next part. So you might want to pause this, get the hang of that, and then come back to it. So then we've got a bridge. I'm calling this bridge 1 because there's a couple of bridges in this song. The bridge is just a section that is in between normally it's in between a chorus and a verse. At this point it's in between 2 verses. So the bridge goes like this. So we go back to 3 and 5 where we were earlier. So 3 on the 5th string, 5 on the 2nd string. Play the shorter pattern. So it's move back to 2 and 3, same strings, short pattern. 2nd finger, 2nd string, 2nd fret, longer pattern with the 5th string open. And as we did before, down to the 1st fret on the 2nd string, change to the D string, longer pattern. And then again we go to this one, either 3rd finger or 2nd finger, doesn't matter. And we now use the 6th string as a bass note and play the longer pattern. So that was. That's the bridge, or the first bridge, bridge 1. Then we do another verse. So it's another verse exactly the same as before. So I won't run through that now. And then we go to the chorus. So after the 2nd verse, you don't go to a bridge, you just go straight into the chorus. The chorus, same shapes that we've been using, but different positions. We go to 8 on the 5th string, 10 on the 2nd string, and we do the shorter pattern. Now when you do that slowly, it kind of clashes a bit. It doesn't necessarily sound that nice, but when you play this and the song's sort of flowing, it works, obviously. So play that one. Move back to 7 and 8, so we've got to adjust the shape slightly. Short pattern. Move back, same shape, 2 frets, so it's 5 and 6. So that was. And then we move back a bit more to 3 and 5, so your 1st finger has to move further than your 3rd. Same pattern, short one. Then we move down to here, which is 1st and 3rd, and we play the longer pattern. Back to 3 and 5 and play the longer pattern. So all of that is. And then it's almost a repeat but with a different ending. So we go back up to 8 and 10, short pattern, 7 and 8, 5 and 6, 3 and 5. Down to here again as we did before, but we did a longer pattern. Instead of moving up to the C, which was there, we go to this one as we did earlier. 2nd fret of the 2nd string, 5th string open, long pattern. You'll recognise all of this. 1st fret on the 2nd string, swap to the D string. And that's the end of the chorus. So that whole chorus was. Okay, and at that point, we then go into an instrumental verse. And it's exactly the same as the other verses we've played, except he's not singing. There's a tiny sort of variation just at the beginning. But if you want to be very accurate, it's when you get up to here at the beginning of the verse, you go. When you get to here, it's slightly different the way he plays it. Instead of going like this, he does this. do that slowly. It is quite nice to put that in because it gives you a tiny little pause at the end, which has quite a good effect. So it's from then on, it's exactly like a normal verse. And then we go to another chorus, exactly the same as before. So I won't play through that again. Same chorus as before. And then at the end of the chorus, which ended here, we have almost the intro again, except that it's extended at the end, and it's almost like what you call a false ending. It sounds like the song's finished, and it has a rowl, which is a section where you slow right down. I'll just play it. So it goes. It's a little bit vague, that part. I haven't notated that absolutely note for note because it is a bit vague the way he plays it. But basically when you get to here, you play the intro, when you get to here, you start off with a couple of the standard long patterns. And then it just sort of slows down and disappears into nothing. Birds on the original record, and then it sort of stops and it feels like it's the end of the song, but then it starts up again, and this is what I call bridge 2. So we start with this one with the E bass note, short pattern, this one with the 5th string open, and this is the short pattern, 2 and 3 like we did before, short pattern, 3 and 5, short pattern, back to 2 and 3, short pattern. This one where we use the open A, still the short pattern. And then we go to that one there where you have to come across to the D string. Every time we do this shape, it's the D bass note. And we do the long pattern on that one. So the others are short, but that one's long. Okay, and then we go back into another verse. The verse is exactly the same as the instrumental verse. So in other words, it's like a normal verse, but it's got that funny little variation when you get to here. That's being very accurate. You don't necessarily need to be that accurate with it. So we play through a whole verse as before, and then at the end of the verse, when we've finished, so we come back down here, how the verse ends. So we go back to the 3 and the 5, short pattern, 2 and 3, short pattern. This one here with the open A, long pattern. This one, 1st fret, swap to the D, long pattern. 3rd finger here as we started with. So 6th string bass, long pattern. And then that repeats. And this time, when we get to this one, you start the same, and then just do a little strum, sort of flick down with your 1st finger. It's mainly the 2nd and 3rd strings that you hear. If I play it, I put my little finger there so it completes the sound of a G chord, which is what this is based on. And it means if you accidentally catch this, I can't hear that on the record, but if you do catch it, it will sound good. So you go. So that whole ending was. So now I will just play the last verse, so it's the one that's got the variation at the beginning of it, as in the instrumental one, and then the ending after that. So last verse and ending. And that's Blackbird. So it's one of the most requested acoustic songs that there's ever been, and I'm always getting asked in lessons to teach this one. So I hope that that all works out okay for you. Remember to practice the right hand pattern before you do anything else, and then practice the intro before you do anything else. And any questions, please put them below, and if you like this lesson, then please subscribe. Thanks.